Okay, good morning, everyone. It is 9 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started with today's APAC meeting. So happy December, everyone. We are so happy to have you here. We have a great presentation today from our friends with UREC. But first, we're going to introduce our APAC exec cabinet. We're changing things up a little bit based on just wanting to be respectful of everyone's time and moving through our meeting. So we are going to do roll call on the back end and just introduce our cabinet. And thank you, Anna. I always forget these. If you wish to share, please raise your hand or use the reaction tools and we will call on you. You're happy if you would like to unmute and ask your question or put it in the chat, we will do that as well. If there's anyone watching on YouTube, this is being streamed via YouTube. If you want to put your questions in the chat on there, we have someone monitoring those and we'll bring them into the Zoom room here. The Zoom does have a live transcript at the bottom of your panel. You can turn that on if you would like. And this meeting is being recorded. Excuse me, to get started, I'm Anna McLeod. I am the Associate Director of Student Affairs on the Everett campus. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am the chair of APAC this year, and I'm going to hand it over to Heather to introduce herself.
Hi, good morning. I'm Heather Kova. I'm Chief of Staff at WSU Tri-Cities, and I'm Vice Chair for the Council.
Okay, and Casey?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Casey Baumforth. I am the Talent Management Administrator with the WSU Foundation, and I am the Treasurer of the APAC Council.
Good morning, Casey and Heather. Do we have, let's see if we have Stephanie here. Sorry, can't see everyone.
Thank you, Anna. Hi, I am Stephanie Rink. I am the past chair for APAC and also with the Carson College of Business.
Thanks, Stephanie. Do we have Sue here? No, or Margaret? Okay, so thanks everyone. We are going to get started with our agenda. I have a few items for my chair's report. Let me see here. So the all of you know we had our AP survey that closed on early November. We are working through all of the responses that we received in there. We had over 400 responses and a lot of qualitative, quantitative data to work through and put together in a finished report. So we are working on that right now, and we will have we have a timeline kind of set up of when we will get that out, but we're still working on it. So stay tuned. We should have everything for you in January, hopefully by our January meeting. So we're excited to release that information to everyone. Let's see here, sorry, get my notes to the right page. We have had some openings in our committees. We've had some recent resignations from the APAC Council just due to time. So right now we have an opening in our Elections and Bylaws Committee. So current council members, if any of you would like to step up and join our Election and Bylaws Committee, we do need someone to kind of lead that committee for our elections in the spring. That will be the main focus of that committee moving forward. So if anyone is interested, please feel free to reach out to me or Heather or Anna Shelter, and we will get you hooked up with the rest of those committee members. I believe that is my updates for today. I think we're going to move into committee reports. Yes, so Heather, would you like to start with the strategic planning report?
Sure, and I'm going to share my screen. So Anna, I'm going to kick you out for a second. There you go. Okay, thumbs up if you can see my document screen. Can't see it. Still can't see it. Oh, I got one thumbs up. Okay, might have appeared for somebody.
We can see your desktop.
You can see my desktop. Okay, let's try this again. I'm picking
There we go.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Zoom is haunted this morning, apparently. Okay. So really great news. The strategic planning committee has we've finalized the last section of the drafted framework. And so the areas that I'd like to cover with you, the area that I'd like to cover with you today is the AP constituents, increase APACs, impact support and value with APAC constituents. And so we've identified 2 critical initiatives that fall under this category. One is to, as Anna just mentioned, we're looking at the climate survey information that was submitted. But what we would like to do as part of the strategic plan is to identify a committee that will evaluate this survey. And we're looking to do that in January through May of 2022. And then really working with that committee to identify strategies to address the top 3 areas of concern that come out of that, with hopefully the report out in May of 2022. And then in the other area of professional development, there are 3 items that you see before you. So number 1, leveraging system leadership network and support to deliver professional development program to AP constituents. And that really speaks to Kirk and several other members of leadership wanting to support us in our professional development and saying, hey, if you have a specific area, please feel free to reach out to me so that I can identify individuals within my network. So we really want to take advantage of that in our programming for professional development. So the second item, expanding professional development programs to provide diverse offerings. Really, and the last item is this is also an ongoing item, really looking at what we're offering and making sure that we're, number 1, answering the requests of our constituents and offering diverse programming. And then the third thing, expanding partnerships with system organizations, units, task forces, or other entities to leverage resources and reach. Anna has her hand raised. Anna,
I just wanted to mention really quick. There was a note in the chat from Michaela. If you could zoom in your screen a little bit, if it's possible. If not, that's okay too. It's just kind of difficult to read. There we go. Much better.
Better? So sorry. Thank you so much. So that last item, expanding partnerships, is really, we want to be seen as the group to come to say, in HRS, as an example, has come to us and said, hey, we want to bring in the speaker. Do you want to be a partner? And so I think we think that there's an opportunity for us to work with a lot of different entities within the WSU system to bring professional development programming and really when we work together, we can offer a lot more. And so the last thing I would say about this is that we have, over the course of the fall, brought to you all of the different sections that the strategic planning committee has developed as part of the strategic plan moving forward, the 3-year plan. And so what we will do is we will send out a communication to the council that will include the strategic plan in its entirety, and then give you an opportunity to provide feedback through a Qualtrics survey about areas that you just, maybe you have questions about, or maybe we need to, dive in a little bit deeper, or maybe you have thoughts on it. So we do want to hear back from the council and hear your feedback, and we will use that vehicle to capture that. And then in January, the expectation is that the council will review the final strategic plan and we will vote to adopt it. And then we can start working on and identifying committees to work through the areas that we've identified as a priority for administrative professionals. So happy to answer any other questions that may come up. And I'm going to check the chat as well. Hearing none, I will turn it back over to Anna. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Heather. And thank you to the Strategic Planning Committee for all that work. We've been working really hard on that one. So I will do Casey's quick budget update. We do not have a budget update at this time. We are still waiting to have our budget approved. So we will have that update for you when we can. And sorry, Anna, I know you keep putting it up and down. So diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know Daniel's going to be late today. Jenny, do you know if there's any updates from your committee?
We're having slow getting together, and then having some issues getting things done. So we're
Okay.
working on it though. So
Okay,
hang in there.
great. Thanks, Jenny. So as I said, for election and bylaw committee, we do need someone to take over chair, or maybe some co-chairs, or just someone who wants to help lead the elections in the spring. So if anyone is interested in that, please let us know. Angie, do you have any updates for the events committee? Okay. And then marketing and communication. So I have taken over the chair of the marketing and communication committee. We are going to be ramping up for the spring semester and following through with some of the communication and rebranding that Tara had kind of set up and put us on that path. I am working on a social media calendar to kind of help us know when things should be posted. So if there is anything coming up with the committees that you would like to have posted, please send those to me as soon as you can so I can get them loaded into our social media calendar. We're primarily going to be focused on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, I believe, to push out our newsletter and different events that we're having. So more to come for the marketing and communication committee, but that is where we're at right now. And let's see, professional development. Joanne, do you have any updates?
Yeah, we've got the second session of the second round of the effective communication workshop tomorrow. And we filled both sessions, one in October and this one in December. There's 60 people that are participating in this one. So we're really happy about the turnout for that. And I want to thank HRS at Spokane, WSU Spokane, for leading that for us. We also are working on the professional development topics for the rest of the year, and then working with the executive group on possibly co-sponsoring that speaker in January, which we'll have more info on later. And then we're still taking any requests that folks have for professional development activities they'd like to see.
Great, thanks, Joanne. And we'll have some more information for your committee too with the survey results, because there was some topics and ideas in there that we can pull out and send to you. But thank you for that update. So that is it for our committee updates. Let's see here. So I want to open it up here for any questions, constituent concerns, anyone from the council that has any other updates that they would like to give. Jenny, yes.
Morning, everybody. There have been some requests out for various parts of WSU, especially extension and people on the west side, for documented issues where a salary or a offer for a person has resulted in not getting the right candidate or not being able to keep a candidate person that they found and stuff like that. And if anybody has any of those examples, Brad Gowlick out of King County is collecting those. And so I know we're not really, not a lot we can do about salary equity and stuff like that, but definitely it's documentation and data is needed. And Brad would be the person to talk about it. And I'll put his contact information in the chat. Thank you.
Hey, Jenny, is he a WSU employee or who's sort of commissioned this collection of data?
If I knew that data, I would tell you, but it was a case of I learned the information at a meeting, and if it's not in writing, then I have a lot of trouble, getting all the exact details. But for example, one of the issues that we did have here that I had brought to Anna and the council was like many of the extension employees in parts of Western Washington, their salaries just do not, meet with the cost of living, especially like that on the San Juan Islands and things like that. And so there wasn't a whole lot we could do about it. I mean, it was discussed with HR and stuff like that, but there wasn't anything really I could do about that here at the AP level right now. And so I just simply forwarded those concerns on to Brad and let him, figure out if he needed to deal with that. So I don't actually know if it's just extension related or what, but I mean, it definitely was a first time I'd heard about anybody within the WSU system collecting that data. So I thought it was worth flowing information in there, and Brad could decide what he was going to do with it or not. So.
And Jenny, this is Lisa Gehring with HRS. You may want to put Brad in connection with us. I just want to, we like data collection and just want to be sure we're doing it appropriately. There's applicant information that we shouldn't be sharing. That I would like to talk to him about that.
Oh, at least he stated no distinguishing information. So that was made clear in his comment. I didn't mention that. Sorry.
And it may be something we could help him with rather than him getting this information from a variety of sources. If he's been designated to work on a specific project, that might be something we could help him from the HR level rather than just general, like I said, general information. Maybe we could help him with getting more consistent data. What did you say, Brad's last?
I'll put it in the chat because I can't spell it myself. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Jenny. Is there anyone else that has any updates or questions or concerns they'd like to bring forward? All right. Perfect. So we are going to move into our presenters for today. So we have Joseph Martin, Ramon Sedano, and Jessica Witt from UREC. Ramon Sedano is the coordinator of fitness services and education at WSU UREC, where he oversees the personal training, strength and conditioning, small group training, weight room, and well-being online departments. He also is an adjunct faculty member in the kinesiology programs, where he teaches strength training and sports nutrition. Ramon has worked professionally in the field of fitness since 2006, received his undergraduate and master's degrees from WSU, and will be starting his PhD in exercise physiology and nutrition in fall 2022. In his free time, he loves to snowboard, train Brazilian jiu-jitsu, read, and spend time with his dog, Ned. Let's see here. Jessica Witt is the Assistant Director of Fitness Services and Instruction at University Recreation. She has worked with University Recreation for 10 years and is nationally certified in multiple fitness formats. She has a psychology degree from University of Texas, El Paso, and is currently pursuing her master's degree in adult organizational learning and leadership. Aside from her love for movement and well-being, she chairs University Recreation's Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee and is passionate about health justice. And I have one for Joseph too. I apologize. Let me get to it. Joseph Martin is the coordinator for group fitness and instruction at University Recreation. He is a nationally certified group fitness instructor and personal trainer with experience in multiple fitness formats, including dance, kickboxing, and CrossFit, with degrees in psychology and movement and leisure science. His primary research and advocacy has focused on university well-being, communications, and inclusion within sports and recreation. So we are so excited to have you all here with us today for our presentation on Put the Jolly in Your Holiday. So I will hand it over to the three of you, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah, and it's just the slideshow. It's not my notes and stuff. Cool. Okay. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. Like Anna said, my name is Jessica Witt. We're gonna just give y'all a short presentation today. We're gonna talk a little bit about mindful eating and some tactics to deal with some of the stress that the holidays bring. And then Ramon and Joseph are also gonna talk about some food stuff and some movement stuff. So hopefully you'll get some good information, and feel free to raise your hand, ask any questions as we move through. Okay, so the holidays are here. The holiday season is here. What, in one word, how would you describe the holidays to you? What are some feelings that it brings out? And it could be really, really good ones, or maybe it could be not so good ones and kind of stressful feelings. So go ahead. Yes, family time in the chat. Go ahead and write some things, some words that describe the holidays to you. Busy, cozy, frantic, stressful, sugar fest, stressful, lots of prep, busy, stress, oh my goodness, dishes, exhausting, stressful, happiness, family joy. Yeah, so fun. So there's lots of good things, but there are also lots of stressful things that come along with the holidays. The most wonderful time of the year, but is it really though? American Psychological Association took a poll, and 1/4 of Americans report feeling really, really stressed, like, not just day-to-day stress, but extreme stress. 69% are stressed by the feeling of lack of time. 51% are stressed because of the pressure to give gifts, and 45% of Americans would prefer to skip Christmas altogether. Okay, so that's a lot. And on top of that, we have the pandemic still happening, and there's a lot of people who are worried, like we said, like about eating and food and moving, and like what that means for your health and all those things. So there's a lot of stressful things for people during the holidays. And then on top of that, we are constantly bombarded with talk of dieting and guilt from eating and the pressure to avoid the dreaded holiday weight gain. And then we see things like this, like how to eat healthy during the holidays, enjoying the holidays without gaining weight, eat this, but not that. Did you know, and then it says here, did you know the average American gains 7 to 10 pounds between Thanksgiving and Christmas? And then no one is forcing you to eat crap on a holiday and ruin your fitness goals. So all of these really, they may be well intended, but they can bring really negative feelings for you about the holidays and make you even more stressed out than you already are. And y'all, it's not your fault that you may feel negative feelings and you may feel stressed out when you see things like that. This is what we call the diet culture. And the diet culture can be really, really harmful. Diet culture idealizes thin bodies, heavily encourages weight loss, and it demonizes certain ways of eating. And it ultimately oppresses individuals who don't fit that thin ideal, right? It encourages us to fear weight gain, no matter, why we may be gaining weight. It could be a medical reason, but regardless, it encourages us to fear that and to not enjoy ourselves in things like the holidays and at Thanksgiving and Christmas and eating delicious food. So this can be really stressful. Now, what can you do about it? What are some things that you can do? Well, I would like to say, just to tell you all, first and foremost, to try and let those things go and just enjoy yourself. There was a lot of things in the chat about being with family and family time and fun, and really, really focusing on that. But there's some other things you can do as well. I'm going to go through a couple of tips and tricks. The first one is be mindful of your body's hunger cues. And this is taken from intuitive eating. I don't know if anyone's done any research or read anything about intuitive eating, but intuitive eating really focuses on your body and how your body feels when you put certain foods into it, and focusing on your hunger cues. Like, are you really hungry, or are you eating for some other reason? Like, just like when your eyes or when your mouth gets really dry, you need to drink some water. Or just like when your eyes get really tired and heavy, you know you need to sleep. Your brain is doing that with hunger. Your brain will tell you when you're hungry. So just be mindful of what you're putting into your body, and pay attention to your hunger cues. And I know that sounds really simple, but it's not, because then you have to really figure out, well, what is it like when I'm really hungry? So paying attention to that and just listening to yourself can help you out through this. Food is not bad or good. Try to not label food as good or bad. Some may not be as nutritious as others, and Ramon's going to go a little bit more into eating real foods and what that looks like later. But it's really common to label foods as bad or good. And essentially what it does is it induces shame if you eat a bad food. Do y'all ever give me some head nods or some visual confirmation? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, oh, I'm so bad, I ate that piece of apple pie, like things like that. Yeah, try and stay away from doing that. Think of food as inherently neutral, right? It gives you nutrition. There are some foods that you really, really enjoy more than others, right? That you may crave, and that's okay. That's okay. Let's see. Ditch the restriction. Try not to restrict foods for yourself. It's important, especially during the holidays, because the more you restrict something and say that you're not going to do that and it's off limits, the more your brain is going to want to eat it. So try to ditch the restriction. Tell yourself it's okay. Like, I'm going to indulge in apple pie or pumpkin pie or those delicious mashed potatoes with butter, a ton of butter, right? Tell yourself that it's going to be okay to indulge in those foods for, like, you know, the one day or two that the holidays come around. Mind your own plate and encourage others to do the same. So what you eat is your business, and what your friend or your aunt or whoever eat, that's their business too. So and this really goes for kids too. If someone starts telling your kid like, oh, Annie's eating a ton of apple pie today, like, that's not anyone else's business but you and your kids. So try and mind your own plate, mind what you're eating, and leave it at that. And if someone says something to you about what you're eating on your plate, you could say something like, or like if they say like, oh, I just ate apple pie and I feel so bad, you could say, you know, enjoying your food isn't bad. Like, let's go help clean the table or something like that. Just changing the subject. Or you can be super, super blunt and be like, I'm not looking for any feedback on what I'm eating or what's on my plate. You can do something like that. So mind your plate, mind everyone, and everyone else should do the same. Move when you can. And Joseph's going to talk a little bit about this later, but move not to burn a ton of calories, or don't move or exercise in order to eat a ton of food later. Move because it feels good, because that's what our bodies need to do, right? There's so many things that happen when you exercise and when you move and you sweat, like your brain loves it. And so just move when you can, and also be mindful that exercise and moving looks different for absolutely everyone. We all have different ability levels. And so what my movement and my exercise looks like can be completely different than what yours looks like. So keep that in mind as well. And then lastly, give yourself some grace and take care of you. There are a ton of things going on during the holidays: family, pandemic, food, gifts, financial strain, all of these things. Just give yourself some grace and practice self-care. Focus on the reason for the season and some of the things that you put in your chat. Focus on your family, focus on your kids, focus on your pets, focus on, you know, the snow or whatever it is that brings you joy. Try and focus on that. If you're an introvert and the holidays can tend to be hard for you, come up with a plan. Like, take breaks. If you're going over to some family's or friend's house and there's going to be a lot of people, make sure that you plan some breaks for yourself. Like, go take the dog for a walk, or go to the kitchen and do some dishes by yourself. Just plan for that as well. And be flexible. There's a lot of things that happen during the holidays. So just be flexible with yourself, give yourself some grace, and try and enjoy everything that's happening. All right, I'm going to pass it over to Ramon. Ramon, I'll go ahead and move forward when you tell me to.
Yeah, I'll tell you when. Thank you. So everyone, I'm Ramon again. I apologize for my verbose introduction, but I tend to write a lot. Thank you for listening to that spiel and Anna for reading it. What I'm going to do here with this is I'm going to kind of start this how I started with my nutrition students and with my personal trainers that I teach basics of nutrition, and also with my clients and athletes when I first talk to them. Jess earlier was talking about how there's like she was showing the signs, like you need to have no starch, but maybe some starch, but maybe starch at this time, and it just gets very, very confusing. And we tend to really muddy the waters when it comes to nutritional habits, and it doesn't really need to be that way. It can be as complex as you would like it to be, but to stay, healthy and where your body needs to be isn't a very, very hard science. It's really about, maintaining to, typical healthy habits, and then just having some self-discipline. So the first thing I always like to point out is I love this Hippocrates quote where he says, "Let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food." So this whole concept of healthy nutrition and putting things in our body, it's nothing new. We've known it for a long time. And I always like to say, what you put in your body dictates how your body works. So it's important to be mindful of what you are putting in your body, but it doesn't mean that you have to completely restrict everything. We do know that poor nutrition is often one of the root causes in many of today's modern ailments, especially things that are linked to chronic systemic inflammation and having, consistent bouts of maybe inflammation in the gut or flare-ups with lactose intolerance or, gluten intolerance and those kinds of things. But we know that there's a lot of, stuff that we put in there in excess, which really seems to be the big issue that can be, a large problem. So when I always teach this, I always talk about kind of like the evolution of human nutrition and how our digestive system has developed over time. And when I give this presentation to students and stuff, we go back to like our earliest ancestor and we talk about Homo erectus and all that kind of stuff. But if you really want to think about it simply, is our digestive system has been evolving for a long period of time, where it's really come into contact with more of what we would call natural or real foods. And we'll kind of dip into what that is here in a little bit. It's really been like in the last 250 years, but more so the last 50 years, where our food sources have drastically changed. How foods are made, how they are processed, increasing shelf lives, how they are stored. All that has changed very, 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 very small amount of time. And if you think in the context of human evolutionary digestion, it's maybe 50 years is when it's really, really changed. And that's not a long time for the body to adjust to it. With that, we also have like food abundance now. We are lucky to live in Western civilizations where we typically aren't having to, fend for our food. We're not having to get, walk 2 miles to a stream to actually get clean water. We can literally just sit at our desktop and not even move from our chair and have Uber Eats drop off food at our house. So our food sources have drastically changed. They become more calorically dense, and our energy output has, drastically reduced because we're human beings. We are always looking for the way to conserve as much energy as possible, because in our evolution, we never knew when the next famine was going to come. That's why we're so good at storing fat in our body. Storing fat in your body is not a bad thing at all. It is an evolutionary trait to be able to survive when food's not going to be coming in again. But we need to take our, hunter-gatherer ancestor body and be able to have it function within, today's new civilization where we have this calorically dense food. It's all delicious. It's, packaged in a way to entice you, and it's also very, very abundant. But simply put, what we put in our body is going to optimize how our body works. It's as simple as that. But that doesn't mean that, again, there's nothing that's bad. There's nothing that's good. It's just being mindful of what's going on with it. Jess, you can go to the next slide. So I just wanted to give some basic tips and tricks that I give a lot of all my clients and athletes, but also my students and my employees. And the first thing that we like to teach here at the REC is what we call JERF, which is just a play on eat real food, but it's just eat real food. Acronym of JERF is way easier to say, and it's fun. You can create like JERF shopping lists and all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of a loaded term, right? It's like, okay, just eat real food, but what is real food? So I always like to kind of break down how to identify what real or more natural foods are, and kind of how to identify them like when you're shopping. So you think about real foods, does it come from the earth? Is it grown from the ground? Okay. Is it a tomato? It's kind of simple. Does it come from the earth? Is it animal nature and product, right? If you're a vegan or a vegetarian, I know that that's going to be a little bit different, but your animal sources, they're a natural food product. If you look at what's in an ingredient of a steak, it's going to be beef, right? It's not going to have a bunch of other stuff in there unless you're getting a processed version of that beef. And then when you got to go down the animal products or, things coming from the ground and, growing from trees, then it's also, you can go down that rabbit hole deeper and like, am I getting, grain fed or am I getting grass fed? Am I getting stuff that I've hunted? But really at the end of the day, just think about it simply. If you're getting most of your foods from things that come from the earth and from animal products, you're going to be doing pretty well as long as they're as natural as possible and they're in their most regressed format. So other things that I'd like to talk about that makes you think about what a real food would be, that's kind of an easy way to identify it. Does it rot, right? If you keep it for a long period of time, does that food rot or does it stay good for 20 years? Typically, things that have a very long extended shelf life are going to have a lot of different processing additives added into it to be able to extend that shelf life, to be able to maintain its texture and those kinds of things. So a really easy way to identify if something is a real food is, does it rot? When you are shopping and you're looking at things, look at the ingredient label. Is the ingredient label a paragraph long or is it maybe 1 to 2 things in there? If you see something like highly branched cyclodextrone or some crazy thing that you can't pronounce in that ingredient list, that's just showing you that there's things being added into it. And we're getting further and further away from the original source of the food. Food dyes, if you look at food dyes and foods, obviously things are being added in there. Honestly, food dyes aren't super terrible for you by any means on themselves, but they're usually going to be accompanied with a bunch of different additives and processing agents in there as well. And then a little rule, Michael Pollan in one of his food rules book back in the day, just one of those terms that stuck with me. He said, was it made in a plant or is it from a plant? And that's always like a good thing that I like to see. Like, is it made in a plant or is it from a plant? And that's a good way to be able to identify, a real food from a natural food. There's all kinds of other different terms and things that you can put in there when it comes to jerk. But I think we all pretty intuitively know what a natural food looks like. I'm sorry, most of those chicken nuggets, they're not going to be, the most natural. But again, we're going to get to the 80-20 rule here, and it's completely fine. It's not bad to have chicken nuggets, right? But then what I do when it kind of starts coming to thinking like, okay, jerk, real food. All right, cool. I'm getting natural foods in. This is how my body's evolved over time to be able to eat these things. They're going to break them down easier. They're going to digest them. They're going to be able to get uptake into the circulation easier. I'm going to utilize the nutrients from them at a proper standpoint. Maybe instead of drinking a bunch of juice from, fruit, I'm eating the fruit itself. So I have the fiber in there that's going to break it down slower. So I'm not getting such big spikes in my blood sugar and all that kind of stuff, right? But there's other important things when it comes into healthy nutritional habits. And one of the things is our micronutrient profile. And our micronutrients are our vitamins and our minerals. And this is where us in the fitness industry, we start muddying the water so much. We're like, oh, have you heard about this, new multivitamin? Have you heard about taking, beta alanine, all these? And it doesn't need to be that. You really, when you think about supplements, it's in the name. They are supplemental to your diet. We don't need to be doing a bunch of stuff with supplements. The best way to get it is from our food, from our natural food intake. So a rule I give everyone, or not a rule, but just a trick, is eat from the rainbow. And that means eating fruits, vegetables, and meats of all different colors. The reason why foods have different colors is they have different micronutrient and phytochemical profiles, which is great for getting different kinds of antioxidants in there, for helping the metabolic functions take place in the body. So while micronutrients like your vitamins and your minerals, they're not calorically dense. They aren't energy yielding nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. But what they do is they help optimize those functions of energy utilization that take place. So having the proper array of micronutrients coming into your diet is going to help facilitate your body using energy in the most efficient way. So eating from the rainbow, good, easy tip and trick right there, right? And that includes meats too. Try to eat meats a different color. Obviously, we know lean meats are a little bit better for us. Try to, there's a lot of stuff coming out with saturated fats that, they were a bit demonized a little bit for a while. Not as bad as we once thought. We don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now. Then another good tip is when you're shopping, typically sticking to the perimeter of the stores where your more natural foods are going to be. Granted, your bakeries are there, usually your booze aisles and your wines are there. Again, we no longer have to live to survive. We get to live to enjoy, right? But if you stick to that perimeter of the store, that's typically where your natural foods are at. When you start going up and down the aisles, that's when you're gonna see your cakes, your cookies, all your things that, again, have those extended shelf lives. And it's fine, go grab some of those things here and there, but it's about, understanding that they may not optimize the functioning of your physiological system to the same capability as eating an apple if you were eating, I don't know, Oreos, right? But that's an easy one. So I usually even kind of teach that one before I go down the rabbit hole of jerk with my clients. Now the 80-20 rule, so I kind of touched on this already. We don't, when I think about this, how I explain this is we no longer live to survive, right? When we were on the Serengeti, when we were hunter-gatherers, we never knew when the tiger was going to come. We never knew when the next famine was going to come. So we were literally living to survive, which was very stressful. And we had all kinds of other dangers to deal with. Now we kind of get to live to enjoy, right? Especially us in Western civilizations. We were blessed to be born here. So with that, we need to start developing some self-discipline, right? We need to enjoy life, enjoy the fruits of life. When you're out with your family on Christmas, on Thanksgiving and stuff, I am going to 100% tell you I will indulge in everything that's there. I will have the biggest plate at the Thanksgiving table, no matter what. And so you should enjoy those fruits of life, because like what Jess was saying, if you're constantly telling yourself, I can't have this, I can't have that, that is just setting yourself up for failure. Telling yourself that you can't do something is not the way that you want to go about your nutritional habits. The best thing is saying, I can have that, but I'm just not going to have it right now. Those are kind of ways that you can think about it. But I always say 80% of the time, try to stick to the jerk, try to stick to eating the rainbow. And then, if there's a thing that happens at work where it's a birthday party and there's some cake there, have a piece of cake. It is not a horrible thing to do. I always tell my clients to look at the calendar. All right, if you ate bad on Wednesday, January 21st, how many other days in that calendar are there? You have plenty of time to be able to have good nutritional habits, good workout habits in there. It's not going to drastically reduce your physiological capabilities and your health systems within your body. It's when that starts to roll over into day after day after day, and we start developing negative habits and bad habits with that. But it's really about just developing that balance, understanding that we do live in a food abundant world. And so we have to tell, because our hunter gatherer ancestor brain wants us to have those energy dense foods, because we call it hedonic hunger and nutrition, because we have the pleasure of, we get our pleasure senses of wanting to eat those foods. Like when we see, especially, sugar dense food, that's our body's preferred energy source. And our mouth naturally waters towards it, because we are like, oh, this is going to be able to feed us for a long period of time. So it's just understanding that our body may play some tricks on us when we actually don't need to be taking things in. So really kind of developing that balance and having that self-discipline with it, but then definitely enjoying yourself. I think it's very important to enjoy the fruits of life, or else what's the point of living in a time where we get to live and to enjoy? We need to have that kind of fun. So those are the kinds of things I like to tell people: jerk, eat from the rainbow, and then shop the perimeter of the store while maintaining that 80-20, and have fun during the holidays. I know it can be stressful. My family's just like everybody else's. So that's all I got for y'all.
Ramon, in the chat, Heather asked, what do you think about the food sensitivity tests that we see advertised?
I would say if you're going to do a food sensitivity test, you should probably more go into a clinic and try to get your blood work done, talk to individuals. Even there's naturopaths out there that can help identify if there's certain sensitivities that you may have. I'm not sure, but I know there's ones that you can get mailed to you, and then you send them in and it tells you. I would honestly meet with your doctor and find out the best way to maybe go get some of your blood work done to identify what is sensitive for you. And what I will say is a lot of us are more sensitive to things than you would think. And we just have developed this new norm in our bodies. Like, oh, this is just how I feel all the time. And then all of a sudden, when you take out milk or you take out gluten or whatever it may be, it's like, oh, I didn't know my back wasn't not supposed to hurt all the time, but I would advise going through your doctor with it.
Okay, cool. Can everybody hear me okay? Awesome. All that talk about food has me really hungry right now, so I'm going to try to stay focused. But I I love Ramon's philosophy about living to enjoy, because that is also something that we can apply to movement and exercise. There are often two competing mindsets when it comes to exercise. And for all the years since aerobics in the 80s, we've been bombarded with communications about using exercise to be as a punishment, right? That type of thought process where I just ate 2 slices of pie, that means I should run for 2 miles. On the other extreme end, someone might say, okay, I'm going to take all of Thanksgiving and Christmas break off, not do any exercise. And then in January, I'm going to reset and go all out, which is not very healthy behavior, especially when we think about burnout and sustainability of healthy practices. The foundational philosophy that I employ when training clients or working with my fitness classes, as well as throughout UREC, is being focused more on well-being. When we focus more on well-being, then we are able to emphasize enjoyment of exercise, the progress from start to finish, and as well as just being healthy and balanced when it comes to our health. So some philosophy or thought processes might be, okay, everybody's taking a nap right now. Maybe I can go for a quick run because I enjoy it and feel happier, and that's a good use of my time right now. Another thing is, oh, I feel accomplished and proud that I hit my goal and improved. And personally, I would write down my plans of my exercise plans for the holidays. And realistically, I would probably accomplish 50 to 60% of that entire plan. And that's okay, because that in my head, I'm like, that's my goal, is to just reach most of what I planned out. And next slide, please. So really, when it comes to the holidays, we're all stressed out. Like, I've seen a lot of people express frustration or stress throughout the holidays, feeling overwhelmed. So we can look at exercise as a way to maximize our time. One tip I would say is, a lot of you mentioned spending time with your family. So if you center your movement around connections, then you can maintain that active lifestyle throughout the holidays. So put in the chat, what are some favorite holiday activities that you do with your family and friends during the holidays? Snowshoeing, I've never tried that, Anna, but puzzles, ice skating, hiking, eggnog challenge, hockey, walking, twister, shoveling snow, walks, card games. It's both a mental and a physical activities here, which is so awesome. So yeah, I personally, if I take a walk around my neighborhood, I count that as my exercise for the day during the holidays. At least I'm still going outside and moving my body and giving myself that mental treat that Ramon was talking about with nutrition. I love to dance as well. And I don't know about y'all, but I come from a large Filipino family and we love karaoke and dancing. And so every once in a while, like 30 minutes into a meal or an hour later, we'll be like, all right, we're dancing the shuffle right now. And that's a great way to exercise and just have fun with family. And a lot of you mentioned going outdoors, as well as some active games with your kids or your families. Oh gosh, yes, I miss my family so much. But $1,000 right now flying home, not the best ideal situation for me. Other tip that I have is make it functional. So make your movements functional. And what we mean by functional is some natural movements that already occur, right? When we're sitting down in our chair, that's a natural squat movement, right? If I'm reaching high up into cupboards to reach for those bakery supplies, that's a natural movement as well. And so thinking about those natural movements as physical activity that can count as exercise can help us maximize time and not feel so guilty about missing a workout or continuing a routine that we might have had throughout the year. So raise of hands or put in the chat, who loves to go shopping? Yes, right? I don't know about y'all, but like when I go shopping with my family, that's an easy 1 hour, 2 hour walk around the mall. And before I knew it, like I would check my mileage and I'd walk like miles and miles. And if we reframe our mindset to count as exercise, then we're actually moving a lot more than we think, and we don't have to feel guilty about missing those workouts. Groceries, that's also a natural movement, right? Grabbing stuff, carrying stuff, lifting them, moving them into from your car to your kitchen. That's a natural movement. A bunch of y'all mentioned doing chores and yard work. A lot of hinging those hips, lifting and stuff like that, and decorating, right? I still need to get my tree. I love decorating, but I don't know about y'all, but like for me, like that takes a lot of physical effort as well to decorate, right? To make it feel happier and more homey in my surroundings. Another tip is utilizing short and simple workouts. So there's a workout called high intensity interval training, which is really getting a full hour's workout worth in 30 minutes, upping the high intensity so that you can maximize your time. Another one is upon waking up, maybe you do some 10-minute body weight exercises that focuses on your core, some push-ups, some sit-ups, some squats. Squats are my favorite. Do 10 reps for each exercise that you do to get the blood flowing and feeling good early in the morning. If we're traveling a lot during the holiday season, bringing resistance bands with you, which is a very versatile tool to use when it comes to exercise, and using household items, things that we typically wouldn't use. Like you might think, oh, I can't work out today because I don't have a bar at home. I don't have dumbbells at home. Well, guess what? Some soup cans weigh as much as a dumbbell, or you can fill a backpack with books and items that would add some load to your squats, and that works just as effectively as fitness equipment. And yes, Michaela, wine bottles, I love it, right? And it's also a good opportunity if you're going to be away from your usual routine or town, trying something new. So maybe getting a day pass to a nearby gym, joining a boutique studio. Like when I visit family in New York City, I try to go to Soul Cycle, try to do some hot yoga, things that I've never experienced before to keep it fresh. And that really helps with motivation as well when we keep things fresh. Some family might have equipment. I have a family member that I visit. They have a home gym, which is pretty cool. Or if there's a hotel gym, using that as well. Doing mobility and flexibility as we recover throughout the year's workout routines. And of course, stretching on the planes, right? Doing those in-seat movements so that our feet don't get numb or they don't get stagnant during the flight, and moving about. And of course, we have a lot of online resources. If we're feeling stuck, we can go to YouTube. There's a lot of wonderful workouts there, dance, cardio, yoga, as well as strength and flexibility. And we have a lovely resource at UREC called wellbeingonline.wsu.edu. And if you go over to the physical health section, we provide you with several virtual workout options, as well as our workout of the week. And you can take some of those workouts and do them during the holidays. Thank you, Anna. And next slide, please. So y'all, I give yourself permission to take breaks during break. Like for me personally, I haven't been able to work out as much recently, and allowing myself to have that rest is important for longevity of my overall health. Science has shown us that it takes about 2 weeks before performance declines. So for those of us who have been working out consistently, taking a week off is not going to be that detrimental. It's going to have that little detrimental effect to your overall performance. And in fact, too much exercise can be harmful as well. So it's all about balance. It's good to consistently stay active, but if we do too much of it, our body responds poorly and we can actually get sick. So for the holidays, I would recommend reducing intensity or load to give us that recovery time to help relax and refocus. This also prevents fatigue, injury, overtraining, or plateau. And fun fact, some athletes, before they go into a big event like a competition, they actually purposefully taper their intensity or load, and they end up performing a lot better. So allow yourself to take a break and be kind to yourself and body. I love that Jess earlier was talking about listening to your body, not just with your hunger cues, but if you're feeling fatigued, common misconception in the fitness industry is no pain, no gain, right? Some pain is expected, but not in the ways that we might be privy to or be knowledgeable about. So if you're feeling fatigue or pain, it's okay to decrease your load. It's okay to not do as much as you have been doing. And of course, sleep. A lot of y'all talked about being stressed and not being able to sleep, and it's just good habit to allow at least 2 sleep cycles throughout the week to recover from exercise. And yeah, treat yourself to exercise and good food this holiday season. And that just about wraps up my portion. I believe we have some questions over the chat.
I think we answered them all.
I think so too, yes.
There are here's some really great books about intuitive eating, and health at every size is great, and just kind of like anti-diet culture stuff and being good to yourself. Here's some good resources. And lastly, let it go. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. And I think that's it. Joseph, Ramon, anything else? No? Any questions from y'all? Doesn't seem like it. All right, well, thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, thank you. And can we get like a copy of the slides, or at least the book list that you had, so we can share that out?
Sure, I'll send it. Well, I think Anna has the presentation.
Does she? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll
Great.
make sure to add that to the agenda later.
And I just want to put in a little plug. Registration for spring's session 1 classes are up right now. We are offering a bunch of faculty staff times from 11 to 1. We are also offering online options for everybody, not just in the Pullman campus. So take advantage of that. They're a lot of fun. We train our instructors to guide you through your fitness journeys wherever you may be. And yeah, we hope to see you in our classes next semester.
Great. Thank you so much for this presentation today. It was really fun and valuable information. So with that, that is our meeting for today. So thank you very much to our presenters, and thank you for everyone who joined us. For those of you that are guests for our meeting, if you want more information about APAC or would like to join, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to share more information. And I hope everyone has a great holiday break, and we'll see you in January.